All right, our $5,000 tent I will take out with this Dremel knife. Not as dramatic as I thought. Hey,
Hey,
what's up?
so the insurance probably won't go through. I just got off the phone with the adjuster, the property adjuster, and the tents won't be covered.
That's like $20,000 at least.
Yeah, I mean, definitely more than that, but at least that. And I don't know what to do. Can you go to the campground and take some more footage or like anything? Because maybe I can resubmit, and we can see if there's something that was missed the first time.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that right now. I got some time before it gets dark.
Yeah. And then can you send it to me like as soon as possible because this is like a really short window.
Yeah, I'm on it. All right.
Okay.
I'll talk
Thanks.
to you soon.
Bye.
They do look like they're bending more. Wow. I saw the photos from Joanna. They look worse than Oh, what a bummer. This is where all of our Crest tents are, and 4 of the 9 collapsed. And the reason they collapsed is we had a really early snowstorm for the year. It was in November, and it was a heavy wet snow. It was like 16 inches of snow. Because it was so heavy, it sat on top of this structure, and the middle area is what came down. So basically, the steel frame broke. The canvas didn't rip or anything like that, but it's the steel frame that broke. It's raining, but that's okay. The rain is a problem as well because now that it's sagging in the middle, it's accumulating all that extra water. And I think the only way for us to get that water out of there is unfortunately to cut that canvas because there's really no way for us to lift the water, and it's also a lot of ice in there now. So essentially the structural integrity of these structures is gone, and there's not much to do with them other than to take them down and either sell them to somebody who wants to make use of them and repurpose them or throw them away. So here, come and check it out because you'll see a little bit more what I mean when you see this guy here. The guys have been trying to keep the water out of them over the last couple weeks by siphoning out the water from the bowl shape that's formed, but that's a futile task because it's just going to be an uphill battle the entire winter. So as you can see, this steel structure here is completely gone. We've already taken out the insides, so the mattresses and the stoves. We have the chimneys to take down. The Crest tents have already been really problematic over the last couple seasons. So not all of them collapsed. 4 of the 9 collapsed. As you can see, this one is still in great condition, although we have quite a few months of winter ahead of us. So the real question is whether or not we just take down the ones that are broken or if we're going to take down all of them. But if this does survive the winter, is this something that we want to use in the future? I personally don't think that Crest tents are a part of the future model for Ferncrest. And since we're franchising and we're helping other people set up their campsites, I do want to have something here in Promised Land that's reflective of what we want in other locations. And because the Crest tent's not something that I believe in anymore, I definitely think that replacing this with something else would be good. So we could stick to our guns and try to make this work. And certainly there's a lot of hospitality businesses out there that look at their investments into things like this and think that they have put so much money into something that they can't change. But really, that's the fallacy of bad hospitality. That's what happens when you end up going to a motel, going to a glampground, going to any type of hospitality business and seeing things that just don't make sense anymore or are in bad condition and need to be replaced. For us, we really have to think bigger picture. Not only do we want this location here to be the best glampground in the area, but we also have to make this the model for everybody else. And so when we think about the differences between structures, we know for certain now that the dome tent is a great structure. It's more in demand. It's also something that has obviously lasted a lot better. These were built the same time as those Crest tents, but they look brand new. So this is the 5-meter dome tent, and this is similar square footage that those Crest tents are. So I really think that changing over to dome tents could be a possibility. The reason why that's not probably going to work in those spots where the Crest tents are is we don't have electricity. The Crest tents were good because they had big windows that could be opened up and aired out. The dome tents, on the other hand, they do need electricity for them to be really comfortable in the summertime because of air conditioning. So because of that, unless we add electricity, I think domes aren't going to work there. Even though the Crest tents being damaged is a financial hit to us. It's not a huge loss when it comes to what we're expecting out of this campground next season. What's ended up happening at Ferncrest, as we've learned about the different structures, is that the dome tents are predominantly where we make our money from. Probably 80% or so of our revenue comes from dome tents, even though it's 12 out of the 21 structures that we have here, 9 of them being the Crest Tents. So ultimately, the occupancy of these guys over here, these Crest Tents, was under 50% during even the season, whereas the dome tents were, upwards of 80+%. So if we were to lose any structures, definitely the Crest Tent's not a huge loss, even though it stings in the short term. The one thing that I think we could do with Ferncrest overall is continue to go a little bit more upmarket when it comes to the structures like the domes. The domes are in that sort of mid-market price point, between $200 and $300 a night. The Crest Tents were like between $100 and $200, which is a great economical option, but it also doesn't entirely jive with the glamping market that we're targeting. So potentially having like a hard-sided cabin structure that's still very campy could be a way to utilize those spaces and have a structure that is a little bit more premium, but different than the domes. So if we were to put cabins here, the investment would be substantial, probably more substantial than anything else we've ever done at the campground. The cheapest we could probably do a nice cabin for, even if it didn't have a bathroom in it, would be around $25,000. And since there's 9 of these here, that would be $225,000 invested in that. But that's not it, because if we put cabins there and we wanted to put electricity in, we'd have to trench and power up each of those sites. That's probably going to cost another $45,000 to $50,000. So all in, that's like $275,000 in investment just to transition from the Crest Tents to cabins. I do think that bigger picture strategically, that would be an amazing experience and really up-level the Ferncrest overall vibe and experience. I don't know if that's really attainable for this next year. We open in about 4 months for the season. And not only do we have to do that, but we're already planning to do a new bathhouse and a new septic, which is probably gonna be another $75,000 to $100,000. So do we have upwards of $400,000 to invest in this property in the off season? Definitely not. Could we find creative ways to finance it? Possibly. So we don't really have an option. We have to do something with those 9 spots. We can't just have them blank, because not only would it be a huge loss of revenue, but it would also be a big eyesore to have this entire area not be occupied. Each of these Crest Tents during the summer months, they don't produce nearly the amount of revenue that the dome tents do, but they do take in a couple $1,000s a month. So we really got to get that revenue, and we got to figure out a way to transition out of the Crest Tent into something new, at least for the 4 Crest Tents that are destroyed. We very well could keep the other 5, and that might be a way to bridge that gap between what we can afford and what we really need to do to get this place up and running. So if you're interested to see how all of this pans out, we're going to be documenting it over the next few months. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow.